Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of Design Cinemas featuring the Let's Draw series. And as you guys guessed it, we are doing Fallout 4 because there's been quite a bit of request on YouTube for this to see this game being hypothesized what it could look like. And it's also one of those games I really liked myself, especially Fallout 3. Even though I played Fallout 2 years back, it was a great game. I think a lot of you probably agree. Fallout 3 actually has a nice place in my heart because I spent quite a bit of time playing that. I just love the designs in that game and just such an interesting IP. I also spent some time with New Vegas, even though I didn't get very far in that. I think I'm only about maybe 3-4 hours into that one. But Fallout 3, man, I spent a lot of hours playing that. So let's just jump right in. Let me move these guys to the side so we can make some notes here. All right, here's my pen. So this episode I'm gonna do something a little bit different than the last one with Skyrim and Morrowind, which we kind of just took some screenshots and made things pretty. On this episode, I want to focus on design, the approach of let's pretend that this is the initial pitch for Bethesda games. That what does Fallout 4 look like? And these are very typical in the industry. Before the game is greenlit, we generally do a series of concept art, sometimes from anywhere from maybe 20 to 40 to maybe even up to 50 concept art, mostly production paintings before the design or the game is actually greenlit, meaning that it gets funded for production. So this allows the whole team to sort of see, what is everything like? What is the graphics like? What is the mood we're going for? What's the design? So let's pretend that's what we're gonna do for this episode. So I'll try to hit up several. So I'm gonna start with some notes. Let's see here. Let me just write what I'm doing. Okay, so we're doing Fallout 4. Let me write that nicely. Alright, so I'm just going to do this exactly how I work, so hopefully you guys follow me along. It's going to be a little messy. This is exactly how I make notes. Alright, so I'm going to focus on design, and I'm going to do a couple of areas, I think. Okay, so this is kind of like a mind map. This is, you guys are seeing exactly what I do. Just think out loud, basically. Let's see, I definitely want to get, actually, let me open up something here. I got these reference images that I put together before I started, which you can see here are some of the influences and concept art from the current Fallout games, Fallout 3, as well as some of the older Fallout 2, as you can see in this corner here. I put Adam's picture here. Adam's the original concept artist from Fallout 3 as well as Skyrim. So unfortunately, Adam passed away last year due to health issues. So he'll be greatly missed because his designs are absolutely beautiful, as you can see here. And for those who are not familiar with Adam's work, just look up Adam, Fallout 3, and you will see all sorts of cool concept art. Tons of stuff like this one here. So I'm going to try to incorporate some of his designs into the stuff I'm doing because we don't want to reset the IP. That's not the point, I think, of the sequel. We want to continue the designs such as these mutants and these kind of cool guns and some of these guys with helmets, these huge suits. We want to keep these designs intact as we bring it into the next episode. Here's another page. This is a page more for just inspirational images. This is not necessarily designs I want to use per se, but it's more like this is the look I want. I like the feel of some of this kind of stuff. And as I get more into designs, I'll talk about this more. Sorry, I'm kind of in a little bit of stumble talk today. So it's Monday morning, so coming back from a weekend of not doing anything, a little bit out of it. But let me take a sip of my coffee, and let's jump right in. All right, so let's talk about design. So a couple of things I want to hit up. I think I want to do something with mutants. Okay, I don't know what that is yet. I want to do something with the faction because in Fallout there's always this faction, and I want to do something with maybe just where the people live, the common population. Remember the first time you guys entered that city in Fallout 3 called Megaton? I mean, that just blew my mind. It was some of the coolest design I've ever seen of a kind of post-apocalyptic situation where people and survivors are living. So I want to maybe do something like that. Since we are in Boston, what's in Boston? And MIT, right, which obviously gets you science and technology. So maybe we'll do something with tech. Now, something about Fallout. Fallout takes place in a 1950-ish future. So it's kind of the future we perceive back then versus a very slick future like Halo or Minority Report, which the designs are very kind of almost realistic, I guess, or real military thing. Actually, not really Halo, but like Minority Report is a kind of very realistic approach to future design. But Fallout 4 is more of like a 1950s look to the future. The whole nuclear bombs from Russia, Sputnik, and you can actually see some of the design influences here. For example, this little radio is a direct design from the Russian Sputnik that they launched in the late 50s, I believe. All right, so we definitely need to work in science here. So mutants are science experiments for Fallout 3. So maybe we could continue doing that in this sequel. Some faction here. This is some kind of military faction. Okay. In every Fallout game, there's always some kind of faction, as you guys see here. These guys over here, there's always like 2-3 of them kind of having a civil war with each other. And as a player, you kind of decide, okay, which side are you on? I believe the same thing is true in Skyrim as well. You got the Imperials and a couple other dudes walking about. All right, so let's focus on that. All right, a couple of things I want to do. I want to try to pitch a couple of things here. I want to pitch the idea of seasons. This is something that's very expensive to do in games because we are in Boston here. Okay, they snow. It has summertime. It has all the seasons throughout the year. But again, very expensive to do in games because you pretty much have to switch out all the textures and all the geometry if you're going to have a real season switch, for example, going from spring to fall. But it is very possible if the game studio commits to that. So I'm going to try to pitch for that. I'm going to try to put seasons into one of these. Maybe there's snow in one, and then maybe there's snow in maybe this one or something. And maybe the faction one is like fall or summertime. Okay, so that way we could kind of distinguish that. And not just in a regional setting. For example, in Skyrim, you could walk from kind of a lower greenish area up to the snows. I'm talking about maybe the entire map, the entire gamescape could change due to seasons. And there are ways to reset the players during that process. For example, they go underground and they go in some kind of mission that takes a while to do, maybe a few months or something like that. And then by the time you come out, we'll do a scene change. We'll swap out the memories and all the models and load up a different season. So completely possible, but very, very expensive because you're basically building the level many, many times over, depending on how many seasons you want to do. But we could always do like a fall and a winter season, which would be really, really sweet, I think. All right, so let's jump right in. Let's start sketching, man. So that's what we're about. All right, so I'm gonna keep this stuff here, just kind of a nice reminder for the designs I want to do. Here's my canvas. Let's start with what do I write here? Let's start with the faction stuff. So this kind of thing, by the way, pitching actual gameplay ideas, this is something we also want to do in the beginnings of a pitch, because sometimes this concept art will actually work its way into actual game design. Because remember, this is being seen by the entire team, the producers, the game designers, the artists, musicians, all sorts of people are looking at this concept art. And the point of this is to inspire them, is to look at the team's gonna look at it and go, man, we could really do this. Let's try this. Let's try that. And the more ideas you could generate from a concept level, the possibly more stories you could tell in terms of imagination on the pitching stage. So something like this we always try to do in my concept art and the work I do. Majority of them gets kind of kicked out because due to budget concerns, because if you're going to do something like seasons, that's a major thing for a game to pursue. However, you never know, because sometimes the stuff we do in concept art actually makes it all the way into production in terms of not the design itself, but the actual ideas, gameplay ideas. So alright, so let's go back to this one. Oops, I put some stuff in the wrong layer. Doesn't really matter. I'm going to sketch this time. So last week we started with a screenshot in which we are painting on top. What's going on? Okay, we're painting on top. This week I'm going to start with a rough sketch first for all three of my scenes and go from there. Alright, first I should probably save this. FCD, let's call this file 4 concepts 01A. Okay, let's start sketching. Alright, so this one I'm going to do some kind of faction doing maybe like a military march down the street or something. So in pieces like this, I want to showcase a bunch of things. I want to showcase design, mood, lighting, color palette. All these things are all captured hopefully within a single painting. So, and this is tricky, especially for students to do, because you are asked to do designs for something that doesn't even exist yet. We're talking about an IP that literally starts from a white canvas here, and you're asked to deliver a cool painting with cool designs and all that kind of stuff without any kind of drawings that come before it. So usually this is something we do very end of the term for students, because this does require students to go in a sketchbook and kind of figure things out before they even start the drawing or start the painting. Because to paint something raw, you generally end up with speed paints or things that might not necessarily have a good design solution. It's more like bash together kind of solutions. Versus this case, I'm gonna kind of get the designs out there. So. Alright, I'm going to put on some music in the background because as I work, I don't like to have a complete quiet zone. So let's, I have this thing going already on loop here. Let's put on some Sonata Arctica. This song is kind of cool. Let's just have this running. You guys can't hear it. This is only coming on my headphones. So I'm going to put the volume pretty low, but just have some background noise as I draw. Alright, so whoops, now I lost focus for my Wacom tablet. Alright, here we go. All right, so I'm just gonna start sketching here, very loose, okay, because ultimately this will be painted up. But what I want is, you know, those guys in suits, these guys here. Let's reference these guys a little bit. Throw that down there. Okay, I'm gonna do an upgraded version of these guys. So they're huge. Maybe there's an even bigger power suit, and they're on the march. They're going somewhere. I want to work in the concept of science and actually maybe the twisted side of science in these concept art. So there's always dealing with some kind of mutant. Actually, let me turn the music down. It's a little distracting actually. I had it on earlier when I was working, but let me turn it off now so I can think. I'll put the music back on when we start getting to colors and moods and stuff. This phase is actually the most challenging part of the design process because it requires so much thinking and planning. Alright, so for these vehicles, I want to make them a little bit more whimsical. As you can see in these designs here, they always tend to have this kind of 50s kind of almost cute retro look to all the vehicles. There's one down here as well. Okay, this dropship here. So they're not really like an Apache or something like an Abrams tank, very slick, very Halo-like. These are whimsical, I guess is one way to put it. Right, all the robots in the Fallout games also take on that look. They're always kind of almost funny in a way, right? In that 50s Lost in Space type of vibe. So I want to make sure my vehicle also has that, like big lights, a lot of circle shapes, a lot of roundness to them. So they're not as hard, quote unquote hard, as military kind of vehicles. You know? I'll refine this design as I go here. Right now I just want to get the basic shapes in, so and have these guys sort of marching down a neighborhood. Alright, maybe this guy's got a dog. We'll draw that in a bit. Let's see, for shorten, this guy will be about this tall. Kind of like a patrol. I want to make these guys really big, so right now just using this to hold their forms. Okay, their actual design's not there yet. Make a cool post-apocalyptic sky. Right. So this piece is mainly showing off designs for the suit and this vehicle. And of course we'll get the mood in there as well when we add the colors. Okay. So I'm gonna add like this weird mutant dog in here. Let's see, or some kind of weird creature. Maybe it's got like 2 heads or 3 heads. Who knows? Just to push that mutant science agenda here. Alright, so it's marching with the guard dog. Some kind of funky vehicle in the back. Got the wheels. Give it a ray gun. They always have these cool guns in these games. That are not your traditional kind of machine gun. They do have it. Actually, I don't even know if the base game has traditional weapons. I believe they do. I think they have things that look like AKs and M16s and stuff like that. But there are a lot of energy weapons in the game, right? A lot of these kind of ray guns and laser weapons and stuff. And that's what makes the game so cool and very different from these other games such as Stalker and Metro and stuff like that. Even though they're all post-apocalyptic games, Fallout stands apart due to its design language, basing its future on the 50s, or 50s take on the future. Alright, so this guy's drawing, he's got big wheels, right? Very messy. This is the way I work. A lot of concept artists in the industry work this way as well, because at this point it's not about slowing things down, like, okay, let's draw something extremely pretty and waste time. Right now it's about capturing the idea. Once the idea is captured, then we can spend all the time we want making these drawings nice. We always tell our students here to get this phase of the production done really nicely. That way, if they screw up on the painting, they always end up with a nice drawing. And everybody likes drawings, right? There's no art directors out there that doesn't like a nice drawing. So, but I'm not gonna make my drawing super nice because I'm gonna paint these guys up. This is more advice for students out there who are thinking about doing production paintings, right? So instead of speed bashing and stuff like that, which in a way has its benefits, but I think for students in general, I don't advise too much speed bashing because you slow it down. You know what I'm saying? Instead of doing something half an hour, spend 30 hours on it. It's much more beneficial to you because you get something nice out of it. Everybody could do speed bashing, especially pros. They could do that in a few minutes. So as a student, you're not being very competitive if you're doing something that takes you a while to do, and a pro could do in like half an hour or something like that, and they get better results. Instead, you do something that takes a long time, that even takes a pro a long time to do. Well, that's going to have a lot of benefits for you in the portfolio, because that's what junior artists are generally hired to do: time-consuming work. You're not really going to get into a studio as a first-time hire. You know, you're 19 years old, you just do speed paintings, and somehow you end up on a major IP, and they're like, hey man, you have no experience. The only thing you could do is speed bashing. Why don't you bash together the next biggest IP for us? That's not going to happen. You know, that job's going to go to your senior guys. They're going to do the speed paintings because their speed painting is going to be much nicer than yours most likely, and they also have a lot of experience to pull off good designs while they bash the paintings together. So what junior artists tend to do is clean up of designs. For example, take this vehicle that some senior guy has designed roughly, and you're going to do a 3/4 view and clean it. You know, draw the nice perspective on it, do orthos for it. These are things you have to pay your dues for. You know, you spend about 3, 4, 5 years doing that, and then you're going to start moving into senior positions, and ultimately you become art directors, and you'll be doing all the fun stuff as well. So that's how they break into this industry, and to show core skills. What are you good at? Are you patient? Are you drawing well? Do you understand form design? These are all things that are very important for us when we're looking for new blood in the industry. The thing we don't want is like an impatient concept artist whose sole purpose to get into this business is to try to get onto a AAA so they can tell their friends, hey, I'm working on a AAA game, but not put like any time investing into the actual work. Alright, let me draw this guy out. I'm starting to refine some of the designs. Still not super refined. This episode might actually run pretty long. I'll see if this might be a 2-parter. I'm not sure. We'll see. Because I'm trying to tackle 3 different production paintings right here under an hour, maybe 2 hours. That's a very short amount of time. But we'll see. We'll see how far we get. So this guy is kind of walking right towards the camera. This kind of post-apocalyptic junky, but still manufactured. Now in Fallout, things are broken. There's no manufacture anymore. Everything's kind of shut down. So these are either have to be left over from the war, or they're maybe handmade or something like that. So you definitely don't have slick like Lockheed Martin or something like that around manufacturing stuff. All right, let's get the wheels. So this guy's got 6 wheels. It's a little hard to see in my sketch. There's a dog. Like completely mutated. I'm trying to tell a story here because these are pitch paintings. These are things you put up on the wall, and the concept artists in general, and usually, at least in my case, you actually go in front of the whatever the team is, usually about 10, 12 people or something like that sitting in a room, and this will be on a projector where it's printed out, something of that form, and you're gonna have to sell that, you know, and literally I mean selling, because this is something that if the studio go for, they'll be committing millions of dollars, hundreds of team members, and thousands of man hours trying to put this to life because of your concept. So you have to really do a good job of like selling that. It's like, you know, imagine some 3D artist or programmer or musician, right? They're gonna spend the next 3, 4, sometimes 5, 6 years working on the stuff that you are coming out of your brain, and they're gonna have to spend their essentially many years of their life working on it for you. So you gotta excite the team. You can't do these bad concept art and they will look like, oh man, this is it. This is what I'm gonna spend my next 6 years on, and maybe not. Maybe I quit. You know what I'm saying? So concept art actually plays a pretty important role, especially in the beginning of getting the team excited. The industry actually, because of that, they actually sometimes invite quote-unquote famous concept guys to go in house just to do some cool concept art. So some of my friends be in that situation. I've done it before, which you're not really hired by the company. You just hire them for like a week or something, and you're just there to provide morale. You know, you do a couple pieces for the IP, and that's, you know, you're there in person to pitch it to the team, and that boosts morale because people are like, man, that's pretty cool that we have this guy or this guy on our project, and hopefully that gets the juices going. Because being a developer is hard. I mean, you're spending years and years on these games, and right now games are taking longer to make. So imagine someone before games, usually a year and a half, something like that. When I was around, that's all it took to make a game, and that was considered really long too. Nowadays, you're easily talking 5, 6 years for a big IP, especially if it's a fresh IP with no engine behind it. All right. So this is starting to come together, messy as is. Right, so it's got this domey vehicle. It's carrying, I don't know what it's carrying, some kind of science things back there. And then let's show off some of the world that's in. See, this guy's wearing a power suit. He has a huge gun. Remember, you have to have a power suit just to use the guns. If you don't, you'll miss all over the place. Fallout 3 was a really fun game. I spent I got at least 50, 60 hours I think in that game on and off. I'm still playing it actually. I still have my machine. I never finished it. It's just so long. There's so many, always new things to find. I couldn't get into New Vegas as much though for some reason. Maybe it's a time period. I really didn't like that kind of cowboy theme that they had going for the old west type of thing for New Vegas. I much prefer the environment setting of Fallout 3. So, but it's a taste thing, right? The game itself is actually quite good. And designs are very interesting as well. Alright, so this guy's gonna have an energy weapon of some kind. All right, so now I'm starting to warm up. It is, early in the morning on a Monday, so it takes a little bit to get into the zone here. But you just got to do it. Don't make excuses. Don't go on Facebook or like, oh, I'm gonna surf YouTube for the internet for a while and look at YouTube videos or just goof off. That's a procrastination, right? Once in a while, it's okay to do that, but I've trained myself to like, if you're just want to get started with work, the last thing you want to do is actually procrastinate to start the work. Talk yourself into like, oh yeah, looking at YouTube is research. It's not, So at least in my opinion, my thing is just start drawing. You'll draw yourself into the groove. Otherwise, you never get started. All right. So let's draw some. So we're in Boston. Now, there's a couple of games that takes place in Boston in the recent times. One I can think of is Assassin's Creed, but theirs is like 1700 colonial Boston, but it is still Boston. And then another one that has very similar architecture would be BioShock Infinite, which is obviously floating in the sky, but the architecture influence they use is of the similar time period or similar locale, East Coast, right? Because you're talking about Washington and all the presidents and stuff like that, and so you're dealing with the same time period. However, I think because Fallout 3 is a post-apocalyptic game, it's going to be set apart quite a bit here. All right, so this one's pretty good. So I'm just gonna hide this layer and start another one. So this is my faction, some kind of faction on the march. Okay, on patrol. Main selling point here, if I put money sign here, suit and vehicle. All right, so let's go to the next one here. All right, I'm gonna also start with the low horizon. I like low horizon shots. Let's put a vanishing point here. Just get this. Whoa. Just some guidelines to start sketching. I kind of see this image, the hangar scene from Megatron, from the first Transformers film. I love that scene. That's actually, the original image of that actually came from a NASA photo. Maybe I'll show you guys later, where Megatron is up in this kind of hangar and they're like melting him down and kind of getting all the ice off of him. So I'm gonna do something that's kind of similar in terms of shot structure, except this time I'm gonna do mutants. Let me see. Let me plan this out. So I'm gonna take a look real quick at Adam's mutants here. Love these guys. They're so awesome. They have some really nice body structures. So I'm gonna take a look at its form breakdown, and I want to keep these around. The design's nothing wrong with these guys. These guys are awesome. So if we're doing the next episode of the game, there's no need to reset these guys. The only thing we could do is maybe upgrade the graphics, add some polygons to them. But I think the design themselves are perfect. There's no need to fix something that's not broken. And I hope Bethesda actually keep these designs around and not suddenly change them to be something else. All right. They're great, and you almost feel sorry for them in the game because they're kind of like not intelligent, almost in a childlike way, almost like a 3-year-old child. Of course, they're eating humans and stuff like that, so you can't feel too bad for them. However, they're kind of interesting as a concept. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have these huge guys. Let's just get the proportions in. All right, they have these huge legs. This guy's doing something. I'm gonna say that these mutants are working with scientists, like bad humans, to construct a mega super mutant or something like that, right? They had big mutants, I think, in the Fallout 3 as well, like bigger versions of the current mutants. But in this one, maybe they'll do a super huge duper duper mutant, something like that, and working with humans. So that way I could get a nice scale in here. So maybe there's like some scientists, like this is humans right here. They're about humans about this size, something like that. Okay. So they're working with bad converted humans to do that. Let's do a few mutants here. Okay. Something else I actually want to try, but I don't think I have the time in this episode, was destructible environments or changeable environments, because something I like really a lot in Fallout 3 was that fact that you could change the landscape, actually only one place, which is Megaton. Remember, you guys could blow it up, and once you blow it up, it's permanent in the game. And I thought that was such a great touch in the game that I hope they do more of that kind of stuff in Fallout 4, especially for a single player game. You feel like you're making progress. Otherwise, you could play the game for like hundreds of hours, and the landscape remains the same. Let's do things in which things could change up. I think that'll be quite fun. Maybe for the next episode, we'll do it for a different game. All right. This is 2 Bethesda games in a row, so next one we're definitely doing something else. You guys recommended some really nice games, so I'll take a look at that and maybe tackle some. I definitely want to do games I've played before, otherwise I have no clue on what's going on. So I'll pick stuff that I personally have played. Alright, so here's 2 mutants. So they're building this. Let's foreshorten these guys in. Let's get the extreme. Alright, so there's another guy over here. So they're building a huge one, about 3 times as high as these guys. This guy's like pulling a wire. So let's put a crazy huge mutant right here. At the end of Fallout 3, there's like a big robot, I think, that marches around, which is kind of cool. So this is kind of the equivalent, but except it's a organic version. Because you have to work in science for Fallout 4. If you're in Boston, then you gotta hit up the whole MIT experimentation and Boston Dynamics and all those things that are there now. Manhattan Project and all that kind of stuff. All right, so this guy's gonna be some kind of casing. Let's for sure this guy even smaller. So this mutant's really, really big, and we gotta make him a little bit different. Maybe it's got like 6 arms or something. Right, we're looking way up at him, so I put him in a 1-point perspective right at the focal point, so that way our eye goes right next to him. More mutants here. That's good. Let's get one right here in front of camera. Let's see, I gotta draw our perspective here. It's not so right here. Now I don't want any mutants to be bigger than him, because if we're putting a foreground element, for example, right here, that could actually reduce the size of the Mega Mutant down compositionally. Right, I'm not sure this is, I think I want to keep this as an interior. I don't think they'll be building something like this on the outside. So let's put them in like, we're in some kind of laboratory or something converted laboratory of some kind. All these tubes are running towards it on the roads. Do some big equipment next to it, like Tesla coil type stuff, right? That kind of that 50s retro. Okay, connect some stuff here. Let's get another Tesla coil going over here. Boom. All right. And let's see, where are we? Now some of this will depend on some photo scrap that I'll put together. I'll start these for you guys, so you guys can see how I actually start these paintings. But I'll finish the paintings probably on my own, otherwise it would eat up a lot of time. And that process has been repeated many times here on YouTube anyways, in Design Cinema. So this one's more focused on how do I approach these designs, right? So I'll try to talk more about that as I go here. So the selling point, each painting, we always paint something to sell, right? We don't do painting for the sake of just doing a painting for no reason. So in this one, we're trying to sell the idea of a huge Mega Mutant. And of course, these mutants, hopefully, like, what do they look like upgraded in the new engine? And then, of course, always mood and lighting and story. So this is what I'm talking about for gameplay, because you put this painting in, the designer or producer could look at this and go, hey, this will make a great level in which you go and rescue the giant mutant or kill it or whatever you want to do with it. So this could work itself into the actual plot of the game. So concept art is not only there just to draw things, we're there to provide story elements. In fact, on films, oftentimes a lot of concept art makes its way into the actual script, because these days concept art sometimes are being done at the in parallel with the script. So the script writers sometimes are looking at concept art as the things are coming together, and they'll be like, hey man, this is a cool idea. Because at the end of the day, it's all about the imagination. It's not about who's better or whose job is like, oh, I'm a writer, so you can't touch whatever I'm doing. It's like, hey, if the guy has a good idea, and the concept guys in general have really good ideas, why not use it? Alright, so get this guy in. Let's give this guy like 6 arms or something, so he's definitely very different. Or maybe like 3 arms, I don't know, that could be a little weird. Check the time here. We're half an hour in. All right, so it's still pretty good. So this is a pretty busy place. I'm seeing blue lighting, hopefully, maybe. I don't know, something like that. Huge machineries and generators and all sorts of cool stuff going on over here. So we're on the inside. Maybe this abandoned building that they kind of converted to house this huge mutant. So that's maybe just the edge. So we can see a little bit of sky. I want some sky to peek through here. Get some background back in there. So let's throw some more humans. I'm going to shrink my humans down even further. I'm going to say they're about this big here. So they're working with humans. So this will become another faction, right? This will be the mass scientist faction. And then we could call, these guys, where the other guys go? Like these are like the they hunt the scientists down or something, And then you as a player could choose sides of who do you prefer. All right. More tubes, machinery. What I'm doing here is form development. Basically, okay, who cares about the details? What it's going to do is it holds up the 3D space. Okay, so another way to think about it is buckets of water. Imagine whatever this is, it eats up a certain volumes of water if you filled it up. So what I'm doing is I'm filling everything up with volume, and I want to make sure that we have a hierarchy of that volume. For example, since I'm selling this guy, in most cases, whatever you're selling, in general, depends, but in most cases, the thing is the focal point, and usually is the biggest in the shot. So in this case, this volume here, all of this guy, let's put a circle, right? All of this is selling this. So you can see if I fill this with water, this takes up about almost 50% of our canvas. So that's good. This guy takes up less, these guys take up even less. So the thing I'm trying to avoid is that the selling point and this guy, maybe this machine and this humans and whatever the background, they all take up the equal value. In general, when you do that, the composition could come out boring because you don't have a balance of shapes or volume in terms of shapes. So these are things I'm doing here, and I'll worry about the details as I paint and design and draw. Those things are much easier to treat once I have the overall composition and volumes in play. Okay, this process actually is the hardest. It's the messiest looking process, but it is the hardest part of the process because you're doing 100% thinking here. The painting part becomes quite fun because it's just viscom. That's what I like to call it, right? Visual communication tools like this is a square, this is a rectangle. For students who are learning, that process of course is still very, very tricky because you don't have the experience for it. But once you do this enough, the drawing part is actually somewhat easy. Right? It's science in a way. It's like, okay, this is a rectangle, this is a circle, this is interior, this is exterior, this is winter, this is fall. Whatever it could be, we use the appropriate solutions. Versus design, it's a lot of thinking, like, okay, what do we put here, what do we put there? There's not a general approach to design. You have to kind of do a lot of planning and thinking. And shot design, all these kind of things are generally pretty tricky. Alright, so let's put a couple more mutants up here. Maybe they're standing around. Kind of watching, guarding. Alright, this shot's coming together. Let's move on to the next ones here. So last one I'll do is some kind of colony where the humans are living, where the refugees are. So let's see here. So for this shot, I think I want to be more intimate. I want to be inside. Let's see here. I want to be inside like a shop or some kind of store. Maybe this one we do like almost winter time. Let me see. This one would be kind of cool as a wintertime scene actually. Like it's something we haven't seen because the typical lighting for this one would be like laboratory, blue light coming from the back and everything's all machined and stuff. But to have this kind of with snow in it, so this laboratory is half outside, I think that'll be very interesting. It will give us a scenario that we typically don't see when it comes to laboratory settings. So I think that's the one I'll do snow with. This one will probably be my fall one, very post-apocalyptic kind of lighting schemes. And this one, maybe warm it up a bit. Well, let's design it first. So got like a rooftop, because I love the megaton scene where all the people are kind of just surviving, you're seeing daily life. I want to try to capture some of that in this shot here. How do people live? Maybe it's a shot that sells just random supplies like meats and stuff like that. Let's get the geometry figured out first. These are all vertical slices or slices of the game, so that's actually an industry term as well, just like a vertical slice. You're slicing a piece like, okay, we are playing the game, and boom, we take a screenshot at one of the areas. What does that look like? And so you try to incorporate as much as you can as if this is the actual game screenshot of all the elements the player might see around him. What does he see when he looks left? What does he see when he looks right? Looks up? What kind of designs is he seeing? What kind of lighting is he sensing? What's the mood? What's the smell? And those are all the kind of things we're trying to capture in these production paintings. Whoops. You can see the Wacom tablet sometimes loses the opacity or the sensitivity. That's it's been around forever. It's basically when another program calls you out of Photoshop, then the Wacom tends to lose sensitivity. But you just learn to deal with it. Undo. Alright, so maybe this is like a butcher, like all this meat hanging, like a very busy market. Outskirts of Boston. Like river, like water, and I'm gonna try to capture that 1920s vibe. It's almost like colonial times, which you see like in the opening of Assassin's Creed 3 when you first arrive in Boston. It's kind of like got that street scene, except we have futuristic stuff in ours. So I think that's really cool. It's a nice little contrast. Dangling wires. Let's do a couple of refugees, like there's a refugee in here, there's a refugee in here. Again, value, right? Just setting up value. Another refugee kind of selling stuff. This guy's maybe haggling with this guy, like, hey, sell me this. Let's throw some mechs in here. Like 50s looking mech. It's got like little arms. Right. These designs could change, right? The volume is there, but I could change the design over time. So right now, I just want to put in the idea itself. Right, kind of reminiscent of some of the designs from Fallout 3. So this guy's like shopping, or maybe it's a. Let's put some military stuff in here. Maybe it's the patrol, but for the human faction. So these guys don't have the military might as the guys with the first one we did, right? So these guys are more softer in their clothing, leather and trench coats and these type of things, but they're definitely armed. So we introduce another faction here, and they have their own robots and stuff, and these robots are also armed. Right, so they're patrolling the market. Some old guy here having a cigarette or something, having a smoke, right? And sometimes students ask me, how do you come up with stuff? How do you design with nothing in front of you and come up with solutions? Well, for me, one of the easiest ways is to just pretend you're there. I know it sounds easy, but just close your eyes, or maybe somehow having almost like a daydream situation where you're there. Ignore the world around you and really pretend, okay, I'm standing in this market right now. When I look up, what am I seeing? When I look left, what do I see? And jot those ideas down. Okay, so like I saw a guy having a cigarette or something, then jot it down. I see a guy kind of like just looking bored, looking at how this junk is selling. I see a guy, for example, here going, hey man, your price is too high over here. These are things I'm seeing in my head as I draw, and I just kind of jot it down. Loose as the drawing could be, it captures the moment, and that moment is so important. Like what do you see hanging? I see like ribs and half of a pig and these type of things hanging. So jot it down. That could change, right? These things are not done until you finally turn it into your clients or turn it into the printer. So until then, a lot of things could change, and don't be afraid to try things. Okay? You don't want to stop yourself from trying before you even get started. Right. And no idea is too silly. Of course, you have to use some common sense here, but hey, some of these ideas could come into play here. Even if you think in the beginning, it's like, I don't know if this will work, but try it. Right? We are in a design business here. We're not the art business of producing gorgeous paintings each time. We're here to produce design. So some designs work, some don't, and you have to actually work your way into that. Okay, so what should we put in the background here? Let's put some reminiscent, some other 19s kind of turn of century looking architecture. And I actually have reference for that. So if I go to my reference, I go to, for example, city and New York, which is close. You know, the architecture is very close to Boston. So you can see this. These things are like straight out of Fallout, as you can see, right? There's buildings like this. So I'll be looking at these as I start cleaning up the paintings here. For now, I don't even need them. I'll be throwing those kind of things in the background. This will be like an alleyway shot. We're deep in the alleys. Hopefully for the next game, they can also make the towns much, much bigger. Fall, if you look at Megaton or Little Big Town, these kind of areas, there's only like 6 people that live there. You know, remember, shoot, what's that little town that is on a bridge? My memory kind of escapes me, but there's like an old dude, he's guarding the bridge, and you know, the son gets taken by the family or something, right? I forgot the name of the little place, but if you think about it, the way he talks makes it sound like there's like a population there, but there's actually like just 4 guys living there. I'm hoping for the next game that they can make these much more massive in terms of civilian towns, where you might have maybe 50, 60 people living in a little colony versus like 6. So these are things I'm personally hoping for these kind of games, and you could just put them on some kind of AI, you know, what they did in Oblivion and Skyrim. You know, they already have this stuff in place where the people go to work and they have all these jobs. It's just that the engine can't handle too many NPCs at one time. But hopefully with the next games, we can. Because with Fallout, the hard part is, of course, they give a story to everybody. So every citizen is killable. In a way, they all have their own jobs. So it's difficult when you have to throw in like 60 different people, but of course you can make some of these guys pretty generic, right? Like the guy, his job is just a merchant or something. He doesn't do anything special, so you could clone them in a way. So I definitely want to make this market very, very chaotic. A lot of stuff going on. Maybe even arms dealers, like these guys have some weapons hanging. These guys are kind of patrolling. Let's put like a bum guy or something, you know, just to show off some costume designs. This is a Fallout world after all. Everything's broken and life is not easy here. And right now I'm trying to show, maybe this is the first town you arrive, and we might want to get that whole Megaton vibe back into it, where you're seeing survivors and signs and little bars and cool little names to these bars. I think this one's generally getting there. Alright, time is ticking here. Go back this one. So I'm gonna slap some colors on. You know, I think this will go over to about an hour and something like that, right? As I get some basic colors in, and I'll then go ahead and paint these up on my own time. We'll come back to these, but I think these are all ready for color treatment. Oops, let's see. So in that case, let me see. I'm gonna break these guys out into their own canvases. So let's do that right now. So this is 1. Save that. Take this guy here, put it on a new canvas, and save this one as 2. And take our last one here, which is this one here, and put it in as 3. Okay, let me close these for a bit here. Don't need them yet. Shrink these guys down. So on this one, I could delete this one. I could delete this one, leave this one. So there's 1. There's 2. And the hard part is actually done at this point. I know it looks like what the heck, you know, it's like just junk lines on the page. But in my mind, the hardest part is done. I already have an idea of what I'm going to work on for the rest of the day. I got 3 different shots. I tend to like all 3 of them. They all sell different kind of concepts for the game. So, alright, let's lay in some basic colors into all 3 of these guys. This guy, lighting-wise, I'm seeing this. I'll show you here. Let's look at some shots from Aliens or Blade Runner. These shots, I'm seeing a lighting scheme that's very reminiscent of something like this, like Ripley in the power suit here. Okay, backlighting, but I'll try to do this in a snow background versus kind of this blue sci-fi. But I'm gonna do a lighting similar to that. Even when the alien queen appears, this kind of lighting in the back. Oops. Okay, so try that. The street one, let's just start it. Let's see here. Let's just jump right in. Let's go to landscapes. Okay, right now I'm just going for mood, kind of the color tone. For the street one, I want to go for a maybe something like this, right? I'll play around with these kind of things. I just want to get this started for you guys. I want to end this at an hour mark so you guys can see. Okay, remember this episode is mostly about the drawing phase, not the painting phase of this. So maybe something like that. I just throw it in there just to start it. For the science one with the snow, we're talking about interiors, right? Maybe let me take a look at these again. Okay, this one's interesting. Maybe they're in a cave. That's kind of cool too. Right? And this is where your idea is starting to melt together. It's like, okay, you know, actually that's probably okay. It's like you started thinking like, okay, maybe this isn't a factory, maybe it's in a cave. I don't know. All right, these are things you try with. For this one, this is our colonies one. Let's look at some mood stuff. I don't know where I'm going, right? This is, you guys is just seeing me develop these, and in real life, this is how it works too. I experiment quite a bit with colors and all sorts of things. That one's cool. It's very fall looking. These are actually very fall-like colors. This one's almost like a colony kind of color. But we also want to do something a little bit different, right? We don't want to make it like, oh, it just looks like part of fall 3 or 2. Like, what are we doing here that's different? And hopefully, in the painting side of things, we'll switch that things out. We'll add some elements that are different from the current games. Okay, so I want to do seasons, so I want to make sure that I push for some snow. Some have fall, some have grass inside them. These are things I'm trying to push for. This one's quite cool. These are Darby India, which gets used a lot in concept art. If you guys haven't seen it before, just look up Darby India. You'll see that you know, it's quite sad actually. It's a slum district in India, but these textures and the population live almost in a post-apocalyptic kind of environment. So the concept art from, well, the images from this city gets used a lot in concept art as a result of that. These are all from, I'm pretty sure this is all Darby. Looks like it. Great documentary on YouTube as well on Darby itself. You could just look up Darby India and you can find this BBC documentary on it. Check it out, it's quite interesting. Okay, so that's kind of going there. Right now they all have this brown palette. I want to get away from that a little bit as well. I don't want everything to be brown. Let's play with a little bit of blue palette. Let's throw this in here. All right. Again, this is experimentation. This is early stuff. I'm not worrying about like, oh no, you know, I messed up or this is the image. It's about trying things. Like, does this work? Does this look better than if I use a brown palette? Okay, and all this stuff could change. Doesn't matter. Okay. I want to actually add some greenery into some of these as well. Let's look at some of my moods. I want to get a little bit of the fall. This color is actually really nice. I know it seems random. Don't worry, when these are done, we'll, well, I don't know, maybe you should worry, but hopefully I'll clean these guys up so it's not so random. All right, just get the colors to melt. Get some greens in that one. This one, the one with the store, I'm seeing almost like a Moroccan type of situation here. So I'm going to go to my cities, and I think I have Middle Eastern market. Here we go. This one's not exactly what I'm looking for here. Let me see here. Kind of like a night market in Morocco. Can't find it for now. Let's try with the snow environment as well. Let's see here. This one's kind of cool. Let's try this. Okay. So yeah, if you're interested in how these painting stuff are put together, take a look at the other episodes because I'm not going to go over it much in this one. This is just me laying colors in to see. So by the time I come back, these probably could change quite a bit. I have no idea. All right, these are pretty cool as well. That's quite neat. Could put the sun maybe on the other side here, with the lighting on the other side. That's actually Taiwan. You can see there. Horizon line for this shot is somewhere over here. Okay, that's starting to go there. Ooh, nice clouds. Could use some of this mood for for this one. Kind of throw it back here. So right now, this is different than photo bash, right? Photo bash is literally take photos and to come up with a solution. Right now, we have a design underneath this. We have the red drawing. The red drawing is going to help us control what kind of photos that we actually throw in there. And ultimately, I'm gonna have to take those photos and clean up the painting. So it's very different than arriving at a random solution. I already have a goal. Before I even started, I have a goal here. So these photos right now, I know what I'm looking for. Okay, different ways to work. Maybe for the next one, we'll start with photo bashing. Show you guys one we have no drawings, we have nothing, and we get a design of that. So they all work, just different approaches. Oops. Okay, I'm gonna probably cut this in a few more minutes here and go off and do these paintings on my own. I estimate these will probably take somewhere between an hour and a half to finish each one. I think they're quite complex, so not something I could finish within a few minutes. Let's see. But I hope you guys are enjoying this. Seems like the comment section, you guys are enjoying these Let's Draw episodes, and I'm gonna try to keep these quite frequent as well, since I'm not doing any kind of pre-planning. It goes much faster. And I'll definitely try to toss up the techniques from episode to episode, so we don't repeat ourselves here. There's so many good games out there that I personally want to do this with. It's just so fun, right? So I kind of pretend to be working on them. It'll be kind of cool if Bethesda and these guys are actually looking at these kind of things. It'll be quite neat just for them to get a kick out of it. All right, that one's starting to go together pretty well. Oops, not the music. Still not satisfied with my blue laboratory one yet, so I'm just gonna see if I throw some other things in there. Get the mood going. I kind of like last week with the Oblivion, not Oblivion, with the Morrowind, when you threw the forest in, like, okay, that's it, that's the lighting, right? So I still haven't hit that yet with these. Oh, here's the Moroccan market stuff I was talking about. This is actually Tibet looking, but very close to the mood I want to capture. Just a lot of colors. Yeah, that's perfect. Right. I don't care what's in it, by the way. Whatever's in the photo, I don't care. What I'm after is the colors, the palettes. Okay, I haven't done lighting or anything at that either. So like this one right now, right? This looks like this could be Morocco actually. It's like a Moroccan market, but it's got the lights, all the kind of busyness I want. Like a much busier version than the Megaton. So imagine Megaton times 10 or maybe even 20. That many people walking around. That's what I want. Perfect. Do anything. Oh, another one. It's another Moroccan, right? Beautiful silhouettes of hanging purses and stuff. So I want that in here as well. That's actually like almost like the two robots walking along, which they're right about here. So I'm gonna throw that in there to remind myself to use that type of lighting. Bam. Good. Keep going here. What else I got here? Looking here. So a lot of experimentation. This is part of the process, is that once you have the idea down, you know what you're going for, then this process becomes quite fun because you have the idea. So it's hard to like mess it up, I guess, in a way. So you're just now looking for, okay, what's the best way to show that idea? What color do I use to show it? This one's great. This one's got a really nice sci-fi color range. Could work for this one. Nice. So this one, I'm definitely doing snow, sci-fi in the snow. Right? This one's like walking a post-apocalyptic landscape, and this is a kind of a megaton scene. So all three of these I like. Anyways, I'm gonna go off air for a little bit and come back with these three, hopefully painted up, and then we'll talk about the kind of the approach I took and some of the design solutions I came up with. So all right, guys. So I'll be back in a while. See ya. Alright, I am back, and just like those cooking shows, let's see what we've been cooking for the past few hours. But first, let's open up where I left off with these line drawings. So I've converted some of these to black and white, so I can see it better when I'm painting. So let's start with this one, the kind of the factions walking around on a patrol. Alright, so here it is. This one, overall, the color I thought came out okay. I liked the way the dogs came out. I wasn't particularly happy with the power suits. I thought they looked kind of not so cool. But this happens in the real world as well. That you know, some designs you tend to do, and you're like, it doesn't really come out so good. And that's a good factor to have in your self work because you want to be critical of your own designs. Let me just open up other ones. I'll talk a little bit more in depth about what I mean by that. So this suit here, I thought came out cooler, even though in the sketch, but it did look kind of Killzone-ish to me. It had that really, really military look to it, which I don't know. Could fit in the fall world. Maybe it doesn't fit. I was trying to go for more of an old school look, so it's less military. But in a way, it kind of looked clunky to me. It looked like this guy couldn't move that well. But in any case, if there's more time in the product, I could probably change this out. Since this is design cinema, I kind of have to breeze through it quite quickly. But let's open up the other ones first, and let's talk a little bit more about being critical about your work. So let's open this one here. All right, so this is the Mutants making a huge mega size mutant. That's 2. All right, so here's this one. All right, so this one came out a little bit better in terms of what I think works for this piece. However, I think the big mutant came out kind of stiff. I think this one, he looks a little bit more organic. I also ended up just giving him 2 arms instead of 4. So let's talk about that self-critical thing real quick. The kind of work we do here, remember, we're in the design industry. We're not producing a beautiful piece of art, even though we are, but you can't fall in love with this kind of stuff. This is part of a production pipeline that in the course of a game or a film, you'll be doing many versions of these kind of things, and many of them get rejected. So you have to be, one, don't fall in love with the work because a client goes, man, this is not working. You can't be all pissed off and be like, oh man, now I hate this guy because he didn't like my work. It's not about that. They probably didn't like something about your design. And 2, you want to be self-critical of your work. Because I find that, I guess, at least 50% of the time, if I find that there's a design I don't particularly like this guy's too stiff, most likely when you show this to a client or to a creative art director, they'll probably find the exact same criticism that you find. So in a production world, if I do have a sense that, okay, this design is not working and I do have the time to fix it, the deadline is not coming up yet, then I'll most likely want to fix that because you just save some headaches and you turn it in to your best of abilities given the amount of time. So when you turn this in, like, okay, I think this is gonna go well. I think this is gonna fly to the next stage of production. And even if it doesn't, you don't get pissed off because we are working as a team to create a product here. So especially when you're a client who are paying you to do this kind of stuff, you can't be like, oh no, now I'm gonna be off the project because they didn't like my work, so I'm all pissed off and act like a little child. Don't do that, right? This is an adult industry. This is full of professionals who've been doing this for years and years that we never take criticism and get all pissy about it. So in any case, hopefully that's something that for those who are a little bit younger out there do. Drop the ego, drop the attitudes, just do cool work, and if someone doesn't like it or say bad things about it, keep doing good work. Okay, so versus like getting all pissed off and stuff, and be critical of your own work, right? So let's open up the third piece here. Let's see, this is the market one, right? So you can see the robots on patrol. I think I actually flipped this one, so I think the original drawing was this way. So let's open up 3B. All right, so here's the one with the rendering is in. So this one I was trying to push. Let's talk about design now. All right, let me close the line drawings off so we don't have all of them around. All right, let's talk about design. For this one, I really wanted to capture that sense of mystery, the sense of playing with shadows and light, that the player is constantly going in from a dark to a light to a dark to a light, especially a first-person game in which real-time shadows are in play. Then, for example, you're holding a weapon or your hands, you will see those things actually get hit by light in and out. And I thought that would be a great metaphor for the world you're about to enter. So this might be perhaps the first town you get into, something like a black market with all these bars and guns and ammo, tattoos, and all sorts of things like that. And really play with water. This is technology I've seen a lot of next-gen games have coming out, moving water, moving particles, playing with dynamic lighting. These are all things I think the game gives the games a lot of atmosphere and puts you into immersion. So yeah, so this one came out. This is a guard. He's got this kind of droid, kind of silly looking, big ball with some fans on the back, and all these guys are kind of gathered around, just having a conversation around the market. There's some guns back here, and just try to create these spaces in which the player could be like, oh, I could go in here. Let's try to go up here. What's down there? What's this way? Obviously. So these are things that gives you gameplay elements for a player to kind of wander around, and it also opens up the possibilities for designers to look at these and go, hey, let's design a city in which it's got zigzagging of platforms. So The design for this one kept the mutant pretty much the way they were, give them a huge energy weapon, so they're kind of doing something. It's a single production painting, so we can't squeeze a million things into it. But I'm trying to tell as much story as I possibly can here by saying that by using the lightning sparks and these things, that this definitely has a Frankenstein type of feeling. I also turn the lights on to signal that maybe this is the first time they turn this thing on and everyone's kind of just watching. And this guy's got his weapon ready just in case this guy doesn't, go according to plan. He'll probably blast him or something. Who knows? Right? Leave the story a little bit into the viewer's eyes as well. Design for this one's mostly been about the vehicles. There's power suit dudes are all on a march. You have this. I'm not sure if this is a three-headed dog or just a bunch of dogs stuck together, but it works. I just stuck some baboon teeth into this guy because baboon mouths are very, very scary looking. So put that in there. The vehicle design here, not particularly happy with. I like the top of this guy, but I think the bottom's a little bit too heavy. I think he needs to tread about maybe about that size. I think that's a little bit too heavy. So those are things I'll change. And in the course of a real production, these are alterations that you will sometimes change dozens of times before the final product is approved. Because again, this will cost somebody money and time to construct. So it's not like, oh, because I did this painting, the client better approve it because this is my stuff. They better approve it. Nothing to do with that. It's like, let's change this, let's change that, let's change this, let's change this, let's maybe do this until everyone on the team is happy with the art director is like, okay, this is what we want. And then that gets approved, and meantime you have plenty of other work to do. So anyways, this was a fun episode. Another Bethesda game with Fallout. So for the next one, you guys could maybe recommend a few more in the comment section, but I think there's plenty of games I think I'm really thinking about making some Let's Draw episodes for. So but yeah, continue listening to requests because those things I'll log it into our notes and try to hit them up. All right, cool, man. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next Let's Draw. All right, bye bye guys.